tomorrow.
Okay.
They've got the whole offseason is coming up. There's only 2 races left in this championship. Time to go for it.
So here it is. Fly Racing 32nd card is up. Eli Tomac, it'll be his last race with Kawasaki. He's trying to win 3 in a row to end this championship this year. Ferrandis is your champ. Cooper Webb, your fast qualifier. Revs are up. Let's go racing at Hangtown. And Webb shoots out of the gate. He's got Ferrandis though on the inside.
Whoa.
And Rock's in there as well. They almost collide.
That was a Webb sandwich right now. I can't believe he kept the KTM on 2 wheels. Roxon so quick out front. And look, Ferrandis has to shut down because Roxon shut him down. And Ferrandis lost a couple of spots.
Well, then Cooper loses spots. And here's the big mover. Christian Craig coming up from about 5th to 2nd in that exchange.
Whoa,
You've got Tomac and Shock right there.
Look at him hard on the brakes trying to get the bikes turned because it is such an off camber where the turn is falling away from you and there is such little traction to be had.
Cannot believe how much passing we've watched in these first 4 or 5 corners. Ferrandis trying to get back around Craig for 2nd. Tomac getting around Webb for 4th.
Yeah, Webb saying the same thing. I can't believe how many passes are happening. But it's me.
Yeah. wrong direction.
I think Webb is one of the riders to beat, but he has fallen back to 5th right now. And let's see what he has as we focus on the 2 Yamaha riders.
Well, Webb just greased that inside of that corner to get Tomac back. He was sliding the front end all the way through.
Short line right there, too.
Ferrandis now locking down 2nd over his teammate Craig. Webb, he's motivated. He didn't like getting passed like that. He's coming right back.
There's a split section right here also. Looking for those emerging lines that I was talking about. But, I mean, the last few races, it's been Tomac. He has been the guy to beat. But little by little, the number 2 there in that white gear, the Red Bull KTM, that orange bike, Cooper Webb, has started to find his groove once again. Now remember, he's a champion in the 250 class, a former champion.
Yeah, exactly. The book on Webb after 2 Supercross titles, but only 1 race win total on a 450 outdoors is, he's just a Supercross guy, but he does have a 250 motocross championship to his credit, and he's coming back strong after Craig and actually getting back away from Tomac. And how about Cody Schock, who's actually there camped down in the rear fender of Eli as we're getting ready to complete the first lap.
Well, that's the place to be if you want to. If you're looking for a ride for next year and you're Cody Schock and you go out and you chase down Eli Tomac right now, that's certainly going to look good on your resume.
Okay, so 1 lap complete, no surprise. Roxon is the leader. He has always been good in the first lap, but the last couple of weeks, it is elevated to performance art. What Roxon can do on the first lap of a motocross race, he's gone.
Great look here from our Parts Unlimited drone.
Ooh, Webb trying to get Craig. That's the battle for 3rd. Then Ferrandis, and Roxon's already headed back downhill.
Well, this track crew has gone out and worked on this track with the dozers, and you notice they're using some of these outside lines, pretty wet, but they've bladed the track in a lot of spots where they've cut down all of the ruts that would have been there from the final qualifying practice was actually the 250s. And then there were 2 consolation races. Also, they've smoothed the track back out. It's pretty flat. Look for it to get drier as the day goes on. So right now, the track not quite in the condition that's going to allow these riders to set the fastest lap times. Now, as we speak, though, right now, our fastest lap, well, we haven't got around to have a full lap. We still about half a lap to go before we're going to get that lap time that I was spouting off about. It was a little premature.
Webb just shoots by Craig to retake 3rd. So, yeah, Webb was battling for the whole shot. Got passed by about 4 riders immediately and is systematically getting a lot of those spots back. He repassed Tomac. He repasses Craig. And Webb, the motivation here late in the series, you have to be impressed. It was a lost summer for him. No shot at the championship. Really didn't look like he had a shot at race wins or even podiums. But he kept digging, making big bike changes, and he's been much better the last 2 races. Now Tomac putting pressure on Craig.
Whoa.
Come together.
Put more than pressure on him. Yeah. Push the side of the Kawasaki into him there. It's like they high-five Monster Energy logos.
Oh, okay.
But then Tomac comes out on top right there. See how wet that is right there? They've just... It's hot today. It's dry up here in NorCal. They know that they have to put down a lot of water on the track to keep it from getting super dusty. The unfortunate thing here is that today the 450s are running before the 250s. Normally the 250s would have these track conditions. Watch right here as Tomac slides into Craig, just kind of nudges him out of the way. Nothing real malicious, if you will, there. Just nice block pass.
And Tomac coming to life, trying to chase Webb back down. This is 3rd and 4th with Ferrandis up ahead of the number 2 spot. And the gauntlet throw down by Roczen is a 2:17.7. Fastest on track right now, 2:17.9 for Ferrandis in the number 2 position. Well, the 4 riders that we expected to battle today are the 4 riders up front. Tomac, Webb, Ferrandis, Roczen. So we have a nice setup here.
Well, and to give you an idea of how fast one could ride this track, is that if you were on the same bike as Cooper Webb right here, that Red Bull KTM, Jason,
similar.
If the bike would do a 2:12.3. Cooper Webb in the first qualifying earlier today, the track was so good. It was super tacky, it was smooth, it was fast. But right now, a 2:17.7 is the fastest lap from anyone, and that's by Ken Roczen. So, I mean, think about that. That's 5 seconds a lap slower on the exact same track.
Yeah,
just because of the conditions, yeah.
Tomac went to the outside there, actually jackknifed the front and lost a little bit of ground. It looked like he was ready to challenge Webb. Now he's got to make a few bike lengths up. And Craig's still lurking in the number 5 spot.
A lot of lines to be had. They're using a lot of outside lines in spots because those insides are still a little bit wet and muddy, a little greasy, if you will. But as this moto goes on and more riders go across the surface, they kind of pick up that wet stuff and work it in. This section's really wet right through here. See how much mud's flying out. But look what Tomac just did. He kind of triples, if you will. Where earlier, or a lap or so ago, I caught Cooper who goes to the inside. He's only doing a little double there. When you triple, it's like you just carry your momentum. The only downside is that you have to go outside to do that, so you're giving up a little bit of distance to try to make up some speed.
Been a lot of talk this year about how the tracks have been prepped for the most part. You and I talked about it at length yesterday. It doesn't have the super deep ruts.
You don't normally talk about track prep that much.
No, I know. It's not really a topic of yours. As we go back to Roczen, our leader. So this is Roczen. We're going to talk up to him. He is your race leader. We'd like to go out a winner. Roczen leads the way. We'll talk about the track conditions when we return. We might have a battle on our hands as Roczen is about to engage in battle with Ferrandis.
Hi, I'm Ken Roczen, and you're watching the Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship on MAP TV.
And you see Ferrandis starting to lurk back there behind Roczen. That's what I've been calling the danger zone all year. Once you start to see that front fender poke into the screen, lurking about this distance, it has been almost impossible this year for anyone to hold him off. He is so strong later in the races. And you can say the same thing about Eli Tomac. He is caught Webb again.
Yeah, and when I was sitting at home watching these races earlier this summer, Jason, and we get to a commercial, and I still got the Peacock broadcast right here. You're getting to see all the action. And right now you've got Ferrandis starting to close up a little bit on Roczen. And Tomac doing the same. Is it possible that we get all 4 of these riders together before the end of this moto?
That's what we'd like to see. Everyone wondering, will we see this 450 field with the title wrapped up really leave it all out on the track? Will we get good action or not? This is a critical juncture. If Tomac and Webb can close in on the lead group, we could have a 4-rider freight train.
Well, and what that does with Tomac applying this pressure to Webb is it really gives him the incentive, the motivation to keep pressing, right? When you don't have any pressure from behind, you have a tendency to just kind of ride your race and like get into a groove. But here, he's got Tomac there that is starting to creep up, and especially now that these guys are on these 450s here the last decade or so, it's like you hear that bike back behind you. And they work so hard. These riders put in so much effort. You know, they're not going to give it up, that's for sure. And Webb, he's got a lot to prove right now to get himself back in the talk of this championship, if you will.
Yeah, because he has not been on pace like this most of the year. Lucas Oil Pro Motocross here. MAV TV also brings you Moto America live. 160-mile-an-hour knee-dragging action. American road racing, so don't miss the Super Sports Series. Check mavtv.com for Moto America broadcast times. Here in motocross, Ken Roczen on the Honda HRC machine leads the way. That has become standard issue. His first laps have always been a strength, but the last couple of weeks, it has been unbelievable what Roczen has done on the opening lap. He established the lead early in this one, and now Dylan Ferrandis, you see the number 14 in second, is closing a bit. Last time around, Ferrandis was about 0.7 of a second quicker in the lap time.
Well, Jason, I'm really interested to see if Ken Roczen can close out one of these motos here. Unfortunately, the MO lately has been great start, fast lap time for about 15 or 20 minutes. And then by the time we get to the end of the moto, he just falls off the pace. If he does this right now, I mean, it's only about 5 seconds back to Tomac right now. Our top four are, I mean, Webb is just out of this drone shot. Well, actually, Tomac, we're hearing timing and scoring showing that there could have been a change there for third, but
we'll see it right here.
There they are right there. They're not that far behind.
Yep, Webb's still holding Tomac off. Hey, before we went to break, we were talking about the track conditions yesterday. The way they prep these tracks this year, you don't see the huge, deep ruts in the corners, and you said you actually like it this way.
Well, I do, and that's just my opinion, but I'm not the guy that's out there, that's out there racing. The riders on the track that are doing battle, it's up to them, but it seems like there's a small split, but the purpose is that the tracks are flatter, so there's more usable. Some riders like it deeper where there's ruts all the way across. So it's really what is your preference? My preference is I think the track looks beautiful today. I wish I was out there battling with Roczen and Ferrandis right now.
Well, you said you're hoping that the track prepped up the way it was will lead to some good racing, and I think we've got that on our hands right now as Ferrandis has closed down on Roczen. This has been the playbook between these two all year. Roczen good at the beginning, and Ferrandis gets stronger later. And how about it? Nearing the halfway point of this moto, they're almost wheel to wheel.
Yeah, now, I've been in this situation before, and I'll tell this quick story here. In '97, I wrapped up the title 1 week before the end, so we went to Steel City. So Ferrandis is in that same place right now. There's not the pressure of the title. You can just ride purely on your skill and your determination. But also, I mean, you're the guy. You're the newly crowned champion, and there's some pride in that, too. It's like you're just doing your thing, but you don't have the pressure of trying to worry about the title. And so that's where Ferrandis is riding from right now. Just a pure joy of riding his motorcycle.
Tomac has taken third from Webb. We can show you the replay here of how he made that pass. Been stalking him for about 3 laps here. And then he sees in third, so we'll show you the replay.
Top of your screen, big spot though. This through the first turn area. Tomac just on that little double that's the finish line. It looks like he just kind of teed him up and was able to make a tighter turn, take a shorter line, and take third place and set his sights on the newly crowned 450 Pro Motocross champ. Let's see what sort of race we have shape up here and if Tomac can close that time up.
Well, Ferrandis keeps putting in 2:16 laps. Everyone else in this group up front running 2:17. So Ferrandis has been the quickest. We'll see if Tomac, now that he's no longer trying to pass Webb, can start to close as Roczen holds Ferrandis off. First half of this lap, Ferrandis was getting right there. Second half of this lap, Roczen actually got a little bit of a gap back.
What a beautiful look of this track here in Northern California at Hangtown.
And they're going to run through here. This is mechanics area. After this right-hand turn, we'll get another idea of the stopwatch. And then we'll also see if Tomac, with a clear track, the next time around can get closer. Battle is on between Roczen and Ferrandis for the lead. I talked to Ferrandis yesterday. Said he only rode once this week, which is less than usual. Stayed in California, didn't go back to Florida, where he lives now, and had a cheat meal. I couldn't quite understand what it was. Some sort of French thing with cheese on top of potatoes.
Cheese, though, you said? He's not allowed to have cheese? He's French.
No, normally you have cheese, potatoes, and chocolate. But he left the chocolate off. Oh. Still went with the cheese and potatoes.
I would have had the chocolate this week for sure. He earned it. He's trying to earn himself another win right now, but As we're closing in on the halfway mark in 15 minutes, we know there's certain things you can do in 15 minutes. For Ferrandis, he is trying to win this moto in the next 15 minutes. But, Jason, what else can you do?
Jeff, you've been here 3 weeks in a row. You know what you can do. You tell me.
Oh, you save 15% or more on your motorcycle, probably car, RVs, all that.
Oh, yeah. All the
Just check out Geico.
Yep, 15-minute phone call will do it. But you want to watch this last 15 minutes here because the moment, where's it going to come? Ferrandis looking for an opening on Roczen. You can see the fans getting fired up over this battle. Ferrandis on the inside. Roczen holds him off. Run around the outside now from Ferrandis.
Well, and you got to wonder, how hard is Roczen going to fight for this, right? He's out of the championships done, all that. So this is purely the pride of being a motorcycle racer. And can he dig deep enough to fend off this attack that Ferrandis is throwing down right now? I mean, to me, this is a Roczen style of track. I've been to Ken Roczen's place in Germany where he grew up racing, hard pack. I mean, he knows these type of conditions. And now we're starting to get into a little bit of lapped riders too. And so who can be the most savvy about picking your way through the lapped riders and just squeaking by a rider before you get into maybe a one-line section and things like that to use it to your advantage.
Roczen successfully dealing with the pressure from Ferrandis for a couple of laps now. And we'll also see if Tomac is able to close. He did. Tomac ran a 2:16.2 last time around, and we're about to get another lap time here as we click off another lap. You can see the green machine in the background starting to close. Tomac just put in a 2:14.5. A 2:14.5. That's a second and a half faster than the rider in front of him, Ferrandis.
That is insane. I mean, Tomac's ability here in pro motocross, and it seems like he can drop the hammer. With that term, drop the hammer, he just did that. And he could make this. Okay, remember I was talking about if you can get through some lapped riders in some little sections? I thought Roczen was going to be able to use that to his advantage. Watch right here. If he squeaks by, and if Ferrandis gets, no, he gets by also.
Oh, Tomac is down. So he put in the burner lap, and then he goes down to see Webb just snuck by as well. So that's a big shakeup.
Well, and that's in that second off camber where it's a right-handed off camber. Track falls away to the left. Just asking too much from what the tires and the grip of that Kawasaki could deliver.
Well, we'll have a replay of it here. Oh, bummer. We thought we were about to have a big battle materialize.
I want to see if he catches a rock or something. Oh, he just gets just a little too far outside of his line. And, I mean, we're talking, it only takes an inch. And there was just a little bit of dirt clods there, a little bit of rocks, and just missed his line by a little bit. So it's going to cost him, well, we'll have to see when he comes by just how far behind he is.
Well,
normally a fall like that's usually about 8 seconds, 7 seconds.
It's enough to lose third to Webb, and if you're Tomac, you want to at least have a shot at the overall going into Moto 2. Big difference in finishing third and fourth. So can he pick it back up and go after Webb? Ferrandis just keeps lurking here with Roczen, but Roczen successfully holding him off. Then just outside those battles, with Tomac in fourth, still Craig fifth. Schock, Hartraff, Noren, Surratt, and Rodbell round out the top 10. There's an opening for Ferrandis right here. Not enough.
It looks like to me that Roczen has really held his line, ridden his line, and just tried to perfect that. Remember my keys to the moto, my KTM keys to the moto were find some emerging lines? Well, Ferrandis has been out there looking around. He's been scouting out new lines each time around. And while he's doing that, even if he found a bad line, he still hasn't lost any time. And that's such a confidence booster when you're the guy behind and you can go anywhere on the track.
Well, around the outside, Ferrandis going to go uphill, putting another rider a lap down.
Watch the inside. He's going to come to,
oh, not quite close enough. Roczen a good drive around the outside to hold him up, but you can see Ferrandis is no longer lurking. He is attacking. Going to tiptoe around this off camber on the inside. Lines almost come together. Roczen holds the lead.
Yeah, you're going to see Roczen ride a lot of the insides in certain spots here. Try to close that down. And if Ferrandis, if you want to go by, you're going to take the long way around. Don't give it up easy, that's for sure.
Looking at Webb in third, and then the lap time for Tomac ended up being a 2:33. So he went from a 2:14 super duper fast lap to 2:33 with that crash. So he lost a lot
It's
of
like
time
20
there.
seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
It took him a while to get up. Yeah, normally you fall down, you're back up within 10 seconds. That's twice the amount of time. That cost him big time.
Yep. So he's going to have a lot of work to do. He's 8 seconds down on Webb. And Ferrandis was putting the attack on. But again, this section of the track seems to work better for the 94. It opens up just a couple of bike lengths. It's enough where Ferrandis cannot show him a wheel. Is Roczen going to be able to hold on to it with about 10 minutes and 2 laps to go? Moto 1 at Hangtown. So that section, once they first start going uphill, all the way over to here, seems to be advantage Roczen. And then the last couple of laps, Ferrandis has been able to close it back down through this sector.
Yeah, we're into some traffic now too, Jason. There's definitely some lap riders that could play a part, in, especially, it's bad enough when there's one, or I should say difficult enough. Bad's a bad term to use. But when there's multiple guys, it's like one guy thinks he goes this way and he goes the other way. And let's face it, sometimes when you're lapping riders, especially where Roczen and Dylan Ferrandis are at right now, if they start to lap deep into the field, if you start to get around that 20th position, all of a sudden these guys are no longer just racing for position, but they're racing for championship points once you hit 20th. Okay, and hey, they have all the reason in the world to be battling for their own spots, right? So they don't make it easy to get by, even if the blue flag is flying.
Right, the instinct might be, well, they should just pull over and the leaders go by. You have someone breathing down your neck. On your lap, you're not going to do that.
No.
Ferrandis is right back to the rear wheel of Roczen. This will be the story. This area they're headed to next, Roczen has been able to pull back away from Ferrandis. Let's see if he can do it again.
Do you ever wonder, like how is it like these guys have eyes in the back of their head, right?
I do wonder that.
And it all has to do with your instincts and like listening, and you can tell where the bikes are at. He's got a good drive right here.
Oh, and Roczen knew it. He could feel it. He could sense it. Oh, Ferrandis is there again. Roczen tried to go as close to the inside as he could to hold him down. It is on right now. MAV TV live coverage. Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. Dylan Ferrandis on the 14. Looking for an inside line on Ken Roczen. Not able to make the pass. Roczen holds the lead.
Wow, that was so close so many times right there. Roczen had some lap riders to deal with. But right now, the new champ, Dylan Ferrandis, on that blue Yamaha, it's like he can do anything on the motorcycle
He's got
that
it
he
down the
wants
inside.
to.
Absolutely. He got those jumps figured out. He knew he was already on the right side. If he could just get through that roller section quick enough to get side by side, he'd have it, and he does.
Well, this has kind of been the story in the second half of this championship, is Roczen has started out so good and fast and just looks like he's out there riding really easy on a Saturday afternoon cruise. But about the 20-minute mark is when Roczen's fitness or his speed just doesn't seem to match up with either Dylan Ferrandis or Eli Tomac of late.
And Ferrandis already starting to stretch it out. Let's send it down to Ashley.
We saw Ken Roczen struggle a little bit with the heat last weekend at Fox Raceway. So today on the siding lap, he actually wore an ice vest to keep that core part of his body nice and cool before they took off for the moto, to see if that would help him deal with the heat and being out there at this intense racing level that they are at. That's something that really is a struggle for a lot of these riders, and we noticed it significantly last weekend at Fox Raceway. Let me tell you guys, it's not any cooler here today. It's very warm.
We haven't asked Ashley enough about her level of fatigue as the year has gone on. She's out there in those conditions as well. Meanwhile, Webb still holds third over Tomac. Craig Schott, Hartraft, Surratt, LeMay, Rodbell. That is the top 10. Then it's Anstie, Noren, Bogle, Wageman, and Scott Meshy rounding out the top 15.
Well, Jason, I mean, I probably have a different attitude and mentality about heat altogether, because I absolutely loved it during my racing career. Hotter the better. Like, I want it to be as hot and humid and nasty as it could possibly be. Man, if I saw another rider, one of my competitors, that was wearing an ice vest going to the line for Moto 1, not even Moto 2, I would be like, okay, mentally, I've got him beat.
Okay, let's
right?
give the Motorsport whole shot replay. This is spectacular. Roczen has the ice vest off now, and him, Ferrandis, and Webb, what a duel.
Yeah, great shot here from that Parts Unlimited drone, but as it come across the line, is going to be Ferrandis, barely.
They actually give it to
Roczen
by 16 thousandths.
I mean, that could be the difference of where the transponder was mounted on the bike or which way the handlebars were turned. I want a new result.
Oh, okay. All right.
In my heart, I'm giving it to Ferrandis. But the stat says
okay,
we're giving it to Roczen.
The eye test, you say Ferrandis. I never thought about that. The transponder is usually behind the number plate, either on the right or left side. So, yeah, just turn those bars. Push that thing forward.
I mean, if it's the difference of that small amount of time, that's got to be like 3 inches maybe, right? So
that could make the difference. So Roczen here in second. He's all alone because Tomac has gone down. He's still in fourth behind Webb. At one point, we were bracing ourselves for a big Tomac charge. Craig is fifth. Shock comes through next. Brandon Hartraft is in a Twisted T. HEP Suzuki will be the next rider in line. So Roczen looking for a rebound. It has been a tough couple of weekends for him physically. Circulating in the number 2 spot right now, but all the pressure will begin to rise for the 250 class. Justin Cooper mathematically still a shot at the 250 National Motocross Championship, but it appears to be Coronation Day for Jet Lawrence if he can deliver their first motos top of the hour. So there's the Lawrence crew getting ready for their first moto. Again, 250s will race last today to make that championship that's still alive a grand finale for the season. So our final moto of the day will be 250 Moto 2. Dylan Ferrandis making the first 450 moto here at Hangtown look a whole lot like a lot of other motos at a lot of other tracks this year. He has rolled out. 3 seconds is the gap between he and Roczen.
Yeah, he has found a rhythm to combine with his skill and his fitness and the amount of hard work that he's done and dedication, and with him and the team and everybody, that, you know, you get to this place, it's like everything's just working your direction, you know, everything. And that's why he's your newly crowned champion. You just can't say enough either about this Star Racing team who took on the 450 program, which was in-house, if you will, at Factory Yamaha in Cypress, California. Bobby Regan and the team decided to add to their 250 team, add a 450 team, and not just any 450 team. They have 3 riders, Dylan, Craig, Plessinger, and all the work that they've done preparing the machines and all the shared information that they have had as far as the setup has worked just fantastic. And Dylan Ferrandis being their newly crowned champion, they couldn't be more happy about taking that risk and bringing this team on.
The team decided to move early. They purchased Ricky Carmichael's goat farm in Cairo, Georgia, and the plan was to really get situated there in the offseason, but they decided to go there early. It's been a big sacrifice for everybody to shack up in Florida with very little warning. Dylan Ferrandis, your new champion of 450 motocross this year, leading here in our finale of the year. And since it's our finale, a little celebration when our race day is over. If you're watching us with the Peacock app with NBC, we'll have a half hour of post-race coverage on Peacock where we'll interview some riders, hand out some special awards and trophies. I don't believe we've ever done that before, so a little bonus coverage if you're watching via Peacock. And Dylan Ferrandis will certainly get his accolades at that post-race show, which is brought to you by motorsport.com.
Well, I sure hope that we have some B-roll from the championship celebration from Star Yamaha last week at Fox Raceway, because Ferrandis and his crew, they know how to celebrate. They were out of control, as they should be. And right now, leading this first moto.
Cooper Webb here on the Red Bull KTM is third. And is Tomac really catching him? Not really. In fact, the last time around, Tomac a 220 lap and a 219 for Webb. So Tomac was really finding his groove, starting to close on the leaders, tipped over. And since he's dropped back to fourth, he's not really been able to catch Webb.
Yeah, Webb right now, who's putting in an awesome ride. He really has. His lap times have been pretty consistent and all that, but he's 20 seconds off of the lead all of a sudden. I mean, he's putting in a great ride, and yet Ferrandis is just that much better right now.
Yeah, that's the head scratcher for everybody. How do they solve this Ferrandis situation? As for Webb, as we'll hold here to show you the gap between he and Tomac, it's pretty sizable. As I had said earlier in the moto, Webb could have really given up on the year the title was lost. He was really not a contender, and he just kept digging and digging. And I think that some of the motivation, I think it's fairly clear. Webb took a huge risk. He has left, as you watch Tomac come through, the Alden Baker training program, which has been a big part of many championship campaigns for a long time. He now rides at Chad Reed's old track, which they call the 83 compound. And I've got to imagine that for Webb to convince KTM to let him leave and then go out there and struggle at the beginning of the year, there was pressure on Webb to prove he had made the right decision, and I believe that's why he's still working so hard to pick up the game late in the year. I'll tell you who's working hard right now. Christian Craig is catching Eli Tomac.
Yeah, now last time around, he was not as quick as Tomac. Tomac was a 220, Craig was a 221, but here we go across the finish line, and those numbers are going to change significantly where Tomac was a 227 to Craig's 221. So Craig didn't do anything different. Tomac's the one that really dropped off the pace at a 227. Keep in mind, Tomac's fastest lap is the fastest lap of the moto by anyone by a long ways at a 214.5, and he just turned to 227. I mean, that's way off the pace. So I wonder if something happened. As Tomac lost his focus? Is there issue possibly with the machine?
Craig still hounding him. See hometown Temecula, California. So we were mentioning the Star Racing Yamaha team during our break. Everyone has moved. Generally, everyone is living in the Tallahassee, Florida area, and then they ride at Ricky Carmichael's old goat farm, which is right on the Florida-Georgia line. That's not just a band. That's also where these motocross tracks for a lot of riders are located. Cairo,
many
Georgia.
a times, yeah.
Florida-Georgia line.
Just a big commitment by Star Racing to do that, and it's not like they don't have the ability to have testing and practicing sessions out on the West Coast, but being isolated in Tallahassee, you can really get focused and get your work done.
Okay, so here's Cody Schock, who's ridden a great ride, started about 6th and has stayed there the whole time, but he is about to have company. Brandon Hartraft is a lap rider in between. Hartraft's on that yellow Twisted Tea Suzuki. And pretty funny, these two go way back. Schock out of Delaware, Hartraft out of New Jersey. They actually grew up racing each other, mostly in New Jersey at Raceway Park, which is Englishtown. I know you rode there a couple times, Jeff.
Oh, yeah.
That's
legendary track.
Absolutely. So these two grew up racing at that track, and here they are probably about 10 years later.
Well, now last time around, it was Schock that had the quicker lap time by about 0.6 of a second. Okay, Hartraft looks like he's catching him a little bit now, so we've got about another quarter lap to go before we get another lap time out of these riders. But Brandon putting in a strong ride here this moto, and I mean, let's see if he's there's a little less than 2 laps. Well, 2 laps to go. See if he can make that move and close up that gap.
Now, we've been talking about Schock, what he's doing as a privateer. They get a little support from Honda here and there. None of the cool factory parts. Similar story for Hartraft. This is Suzuki's premier effort, but they don't have any of the works parts from Japan. They do get some help from Suzuki in general as far as replacement parts and motorcycles and things like that. But you have a real privateer behind them, just operating his own thing, and that is Ryan Surratt. He's become a veteran these days, second-generation rider, even does some off-road races. Surratt's been pretty quick as of late. He is in the top 10. Be the next rider in line.
Yeah, there he is.
Nice job by Surratt here. He is in 8th place.
Well, the number 951, that's probably his area code where he lives in Southern California, but he's done all kinds of racing lately, too, between Works Racing, which is kind of your sort of desert off-road racing on the West Coast, and Supercross along the way here. But, yeah, he's definitely showing some good speed and good fitness here at the end of this Lucas Oil Pro Motocross Championship.
Surratt had an 11th in a moto at Unadilla, but now he's aiming for single digits, running in 8th. And look, we know that there's a lot of talent in this 450 class that's not here right now. Chase Sexton's out for the weekend with illness. Justin Barsha's out. Marvin Muscan out. He has COVID. So we're missing some talent. But No one's going to care. You say you got a top 10 as you watch Max Anstey come through down the 34. If you're a privateer and you say you finished 8th in a moto, you don't need to put an asterisk next to it. No. You got 8th. It's still impressive. Here is Anstey on the number 34. He would be next in line 9th, and then behind him would be Bogle. And Anstey on this Twisted Tea Suzuki team the last 2 years. He announced last week after the race that he appreciates the team. They gave him a shot here in America, the Englishman, to come back to the United States. He had gone back home for about 10 years, but he will be moving on to another team next year. I think we're looking for Bogle here. There's a couple of lap riders, and well, that's a pretty big gap. That's not Bogle either.
No, that rider's missing his front number plate. Something's gone wrong there. This could be him.
All right, there is Bogle. Now, Bogle, I saw him getting taped up this morning on his ribs on the right side. I said, looks like he got shot. And he said, actually, I took my teammate Joey Savacci's foot peg to the ribs. It hurts. I don't even want to know what it is. I'm going to race today anyway. Savacci's not here with illness. That's why privateer Kevin Moran's actually got called up. He's the teammate of Bogle for the weekend. As we watch Ferrandis go around, Moran's just getting back into racing after some injuries. Normally with the privateer journey Teddy Park's team. Ferrandis throwing a leg off.
Yeah, maybe a team member or somebody out there that he caught out of the corner of his eye. He's definitely enjoying it, as he should. I mean, he's got 13 seconds over Roczen.
Wow, that is an alarming lead.
13 seconds, and it happened all in about 10 minutes.
Absolutely, they were close.
I mean, he's about 2.5 seconds a lap faster than Roczen right now. I mean, when you're the guy, you're the guy. It's like everything's working. Your fitness is there, your mindset and confidence is there, and he's going out executing another great race. Throws a big whip here for all the fans at Hangtown.
Well, an amazing story that he and his crew have put together, and really there's no secrets. It's just grit. This guy just works. He says he believes harder than anyone, and it's hard to argue right now. And his mechanic, I was talking to Alex Campbell, his mechanic last week. So with that move of the team going to Georgia and Florida, after High Point in June, he left his wife, who's still in California. Didn't see her for 2 months. And putting in 90 hours a week, working on both the practice and the race bikes. A lot of the family members of Star Racing didn't get to reunite with their family until last week when we had a race in Southern California. That's the level of sacrifice that everyone has put together to put together this championship. And the train keeps rolling. No pressure at all. Doesn't have to win. Does it anyway. Dylan Ferrandis, a dominant win in Moto 1 here at Hangtown.
Yeah, he's feeling good about that one. Pressure's off from the title. Can just go out and just purely have fun racing your motocross bike.
Oh, that's good to see. Ferrandis soaking it in.
All the VIP area right here, just cheering him on.
And I'll tell you, he was not a fan favorite going back 2 years ago. I don't know if he's the rider that everyone's making signs for and banners for at the races, but the level of respect from the crowd and from his competitors like Roczen, you can really see how much that has grown through the year. It's hard not to salute a good, hard effort like that. We'll talk to Ferrandis when we're done.
Year, basically, trust your preparation. Look for new lines. The track, we've had the 250 race on there. A lot of ruts are starting to form. And sprint, this is it. The final race of the year for the 450 riders. Just let it all hang out right now one last time.
All right, this should be fun to watch without any real points on the line. Most riders secure in their position. They're racing for pride. Here's the gate drop.
Whoa, couple of riders almost well.
Couple riders down and a couple riders tangled. And it's going to be Cooper Webb to the early lead with Craig right behind him. It is Freddie Noren down. And it's 101 career starts for Noren. That's not the way he wanted it to go. So, oh, look at this. Craig taking the lead from Webb.
Webb's going to try to get back to... Oh,
Ferrandis was in it.
Down.
Ferrandis was in that pile.
Wow. He's looking down at the right side of his bike, which is where the right foot peg and the rear brake could be. Possibly the rear brake is pretty exposed. Let's see if he has problems getting the Yamaha slowed down at all.
That 117 that he just got around, who's also in that pile, that's Nick Nisbet, who I met last week, actually is a real estate agent during the week. Decided to come out and do a couple races and made the show today, qualified for the Fast 40. As we go back to our leaders, Webb How about Christian Craig not only taking the lead but pulling away quickly?
Great start for him. And the thing about this second moto, see how it's dark, where the dirt is dark? Well, that's where they put some water down, okay, if you're new to motocross. And where the dirt is really light is where it's dry. Okay, so right now, those spots that are wet are going to be really slippery because this ground is hard. As the moto wears on, those lines
Ken Roxon is in the mechanics area and appears to be done. He's taking off his boot. That's often a sign, obviously, of an ankle or leg problem. That's not good.
And, I mean, all this could have happened there right off the start.
Maybe. Holding his foot. Oh, wow. So Roxon second in Moto 1. He appears out for Moto number 2. He's in pain.
He definitely is in pain.
And your first Moto winner, Ferrandis, we saw it about last after getting tangled in turn 1. And his teammate Christian Craig leads.
Yeah, and so, Jason, this opens the door for somebody to grab an overall now.
Well, the rider in that position would be Cooper Webb right now, who is third in Moto 1. He is second in Moto 2. Where is Eli Tomac, who was fourth in the first moto? We're going to get a running order once we come through the line here.
Craig goes by as we start to set the
There's
field.
Tomac, fourth place behind Anstey. So Tomac here at the Monster Kawasaki, his last run with this team that he's been with since 2016. And in that time, not only 3 straight titles in this series and a Monster Energy Supercross championship, but 62 race wins in 6 years with Kawasaki. And he's got a shot at capping it with another win here. He could get the overall today.
Well, we still have a lot of racing left to go here in Moto 2 at Hangtown. But really, we're talking about Craig and Webb and Tomac are the riders really that have a shot to win this. Now, we don't know how far through the pack Ferrandis, who was our Moto 1 winner, how far he can claw his way up to maybe put himself in the conversation for the overall.
He's 23rd right now.
Seems doubtful. A lot of work to do for Ferrandis. But right now, I mean, if you're Eli Tomac right there at the bottom of your screen, the number 3 on that Monster Energy Kawasaki, you're going to try to cap off your career with Monster Energy Kawasaki with one more win, which would make it 3 in a row after not winning all season.
Unbelievable. And there is Roxon being helped by the Alpine Stars medics team. There's Dr. John Bonder there and also his mechanic, Jordan Troxel. So season over for Roxon. And there's his wife, Courtney, on the right. Now, Roxon did mention when he finished second in Moto 1 that his goal is to hold on to second of the series over Tomac. So suddenly now he's not going to score any points in this moto. Tomac is back in fourth. And there was only 9 points between them when this race day began. So I think this could be second in the series for Tomac if it ends like this. Roxon added a few more points to his gap on Tomac Moto 1. So Tomac was fourth there. Tomac on the attack. Starting to catch Max Anstey, who's here on the yellow Twisted T HEP Suzuki.
And Anstey had a good run the first moto, was inside the top 10.
The Englishman has been back in the U.S. here for the last 2 years. We have seen his starts really come around the last couple of motos. And now he gets to run with Tomac, with Webb in second. How about Christian Craig going to lead the first lap here?
Anstey gets a little sideways there through those braking bumps. It looked like he was trying to put the Suzuki into the inside line, and then he just fades a little bit out. That's going to allow Tomac to be right on his rear tire.
Webb picking up the pace, putting heat on Craig. Let's send it down to the mechanics area with Ashley Ramore on Ken Roxon.
Ken Roxon was notably in pain, so I went up to Eric Kehoe after Alpine Stars medical team got him out of the mechanics area to head back for some x-rays. His left foot actually got caught in someone's rear tire in that first turn. He didn't go down, but the pounding of it made it feel like it was possibly broken, and he knew instantly that something was wrong. So unfortunately, he didn't go down in that first turn crash, but he did get an injury. He's back at the Alpine Stars medical unit now.
And thanks, Ashley. Another rider, Cody Schock, got tangled up in that, and we just watched a replay. It looked like Schock was holding his right arm. So very costly first turn crash for several riders. There's always something on the line in motocross. So Webb looking to track down your leader, Christian Craig, with Tomac up to third. He's gotten around Anstey. Let's give you the motorsport.com full shot replay.
Well, it gets really dicey. You're going to see Roxon's going to be right around in that area. Try to look for the red Honda. Right there. And even though Roxon doesn't go down, Shock gets into the side of him right there. Like smashes it, and it looks like Roxon's left foot gets caught in Shock's rear wheel.
Yeah.
Like it looks like it drags a little bit.
We're looking
right
for
there.
Ferrandis. That's
So
Thorin.
much. I mean, for being the last race of the season, it's the last thing any of these guys.
That is Ferrandis actually caught, and I believe Roxon's bike, or is that Shock's bike? No, Roxon was
Shock,
in.
yeah,
It was Shock's
it was
Honda.
Shock.
So that's why Ferrandis is so far back.
Just so much drama in the last race of the season. These
Unbelievable.
guys are going for it. They looked at the keys of the moto, said, okay, Jeff, we'll do what you asked for. But that much drama, and we hadn't even made it to the motorsport.com whole shot line yet, and we had a rider with an injured foot and about 5 or 6 guys down.
Yeah, and I think that's it for Shock as well. So his bike was being dragged by Ferrandis. Cody quickly got up and was holding his arm. Back to the race for the lead. Webb continuing to close down on Craig, who already passed him for the lead earlier in the moto. So a little rematch here. And then with Tomac lurking in third, you have the feeling things are going to heat up. Craig will look over his shoulder. He's never won a moto in Lucas Oil Pro Motocross. And there's Tomac, who had gotten to about this position third in Moto 1 and then fell. Christian Craig, best moto of the year for him. He has been just outside of the podium positions for the majority of this 2021 campaign. Looking very strong early, 5th in Moto 1 and leading the way in Moto 2 at Hangtown. So let's see if Craig can deal with the heat from Webb. As a matter of fact, he has. Webb got a little bit closer than this. Craig has responded.
Yeah, out front, riding a clean race, and Craig has such a nice riding technique and riding style. He's very efficient. With it being super hot right now and the track getting rough, that definitely is important. But then you've got Webb on the other side, who's just he's so gritty, and you can tell he wants it. He's riding hard, trying to catch the leader here. He also has some incentive because you've got Tomac and Anstey, which are just outside of our picture, and this could be the difference in winning the overall or not. Webb was third, Tomac was fourth in Moto 1, and Craig was fifth.
Yeah, if it ended like this, Webb would have the overall. Man, that would be a strong end to the season for him. Back-to-back podiums and a race win, but he'll have to deal with Craig and Tomac here.
Considering where Webb was at the beginning of this championship.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he started Lucas Oil Pro Motocross really way off the pace, and you got to think that having so much stress and such a tight battle for the Monster Energy Supercross Championship here on NBC that it took a lot out of him. But he could not find his groove.
He found it now. He's right there with Craig.
Definitely back on it. And the intensity's there because he's got Tomac right behind him.
Whoa, slicing from outside to inside. Webb almost made the pass. Okay, he is setting up Craig in every single corner now. Back into turn one we go. Craig, intense pressure being applied by Webb. Craig looks over. They didn't want to tangle in the air. If Craig goes outside, Webb's going inside. Here's the move. He's got the lead.
And then wisely back to the inside. And watch this off camber down here. They're going way up against the bank there. Our Parts Unlimited drone shot really gives you an idea of what these hills look like. But look who is lurking.
Eli Tomac, as quickly as Webb was going after Craig, Tomac is there as well. Three-rider tilt for the lead. Tomac wants to go all the way to the front. Battles all over the racetrack here. This is Eli Tomac on the right side in green, trying to take it away from Christian Craig. It's now a battle for second as Cooper Webb has taken the #1 spot. Craig fighting back on Tomac.
And he's going to have the inside, and this inside line's been good. Craig makes a tiny mistake. Can Tomac power down the inside? Oh, look how rough that line is. Makes the pass. Tomac up to second.
He knew he needed to do it because Webb had turned up the heat and got around Craig. He doesn't want Webb to get away, so Tomac went after Craig quickly, and Tomac's to second. Here is how Webb passed Craig.
Lance totally committed, Jason. He knew exactly what he wanted to do. He takes the short line here and boxes out Craig, and Craig says, okay, I just gave up the lead. He looks over his shoulder and finds Tomac there and has given up the spot to Tomac also. So -2 for Craig here in about the span of a half a lap. Not what he's looking for, but it's still going to put him in a nice podium position, possibly.
Let's check in with Ferrandis, our first moto winner and our new series champ, down in the first turn. And he is already in 8th place. Amazing comeback. He's gotten around Wageman here on the solitary Yamaha.
Well, and that's why I said for Craig, possibly a podium, because the way that Ferrandis has been riding and the speed that he's capable of, 8th already. We're not even to the 15-minute mark yet, so there's a chance that he can claw his way back up and put himself in a podium result still before this moto is over and the day's done.
Back to the battle for the lead. You can see Craig is there in 3rd as Tomac is closing on Webb. So it's going to be down to Webb and Tomac to battle for the moto win in the overall in the last race of the series.
Well, and we can't ignore the fact that this is Eli Tomac's last ride with Monster Energy Kawasaki. I mean, the statistics and the success that he's had together with the team and his mechanic, Brian Krantz, has been legendary. And now he's trying to put on one last legendary ride to possibly win the overall here in his last ride with Kawasaki.
And that will be 3 straight wins to end the year. 63 wins with Kawasaki in 6 seasons. We'll be moving to Monster Energy Star Yamaha next year. A little change of scenery for Tomac, who's now become a veteran on the scene. We'll see how that transition goes. But right now, he has found his old form late in 2021. But credit to Webb. A couple times Tomac has gotten to him, and Webb is holding his own. And in fact, Craig is back in it.
Well, and you just wonder if maybe that pressure of having the lead. Oh, Tomac, feed off. That's the same spot that he made the pass a lap ago. This time he comes through on his own and almost goes down. He's giving it everything he has right now. He knows what's on the line. He's so driven and so determined. But can he catch Cooper Webb and take this final win?
Oh, it'll be Webb's first win of the season, and he struggled mightily when this championship began. He would love to turn it around by ending the season on top. Webb not quite as quick as Tomac through that section, so Tomac reeling him back in. Craig still riding well in 3rd, and Anstey not too far back in 4th. Nice little tussle here in this final moto.
Yeah, we're not even to the halfway point yet, and it's really started to tighten up here at the lead. I don't look for Webb to give up any positions easy. I think he's going to fight and claw and scratch his way, anything he can do to win this moto, which is going to be great for us watching and see how this thing finishes off. I am really surprised, Jason, that it looked like Craig had a bad lap or two, and I thought he was going to be done. And now he's found a way to hook onto the back of Tomac and hang in this battle and make it a 3-rider battle.
Absolutely, and if either one of these riders makes a mistake, Craig could still win this moto.
Oh, look at that. It's so dry and so it's like old school motocross almost, that the riders back on the Twin Shocker 2-strokes would have, on this same course decades ago, raced on.
Yeah, when it got dry and dusty like this, hard square bumps, riders having to show their adaptability here. NASCAR Cup Series, we are into the playoffs. And one of the most iconic races of all, the Bristol Night Race, the first elimination race in the playoffs. Which 4 drivers will fall at the last great Coliseum? Saturday night, 7:30 Eastern on NBCSN. Big battle on the track right now between 2 titans of motocross and supercross. Cooper Webb in the number 2, leading the way. Eli Tomac in the number 3, right behind him. We're halfway through this moto. 15 minutes down, 15 minutes to go. You could save 15% or more on your insurance, but by making a 15-minute phone call.
Tomac has his lines, but Tomac has the advantage of getting to see what's happening with Webb. And look at that, emerging lines. Look for new lines on the track. Tomac has done that, and at any point, it seems like he can close up on the back of Webb but can he make the pass, or is Webb going to be stingy with that fast line and race him hard all the way to the finish? We've got about 14 minutes plus 2 laps. This is for the overall.
Oh, you love to see in the finale with the title wrapped up, 2 motivated riders. Webb made some major changes to his training program this summer. He is trying to prove those are the right decisions and pay it off with a race win. Tomac, he wants to end this series with 3 straight victories, going on top after a long run with Kawasaki. So these guys want it in the worst way, and you can see it right now. They're pouring it on, pulling away from the rest of the field.
Oh, I thought that inside line was going to work for Tomac. I wonder if these off-camber turns right here, I mean, look how tricky they are. Okay, that's what I wanted to see, the Parts Unlimited drone. Let me see where these lines are shaping up. Webb just so smart riding the insides. He says, Eli, if you want to go by, you're going to have to take the long line because I'm stingy, and there's no way I'm giving up these inside lines.
Oh, this is what Webb is known for, and that was his strength in Monster Energy Supercross. He can knife so deep to the inside of corners and the racecraft.
Okay, Webb takes the outside here. Tomac has to hit the braking bumps on the inside, but it's a shorter line.
Oh, side by side. A little bit of a kink here. Tomac's on the inside for it. The next corner, Webb's set up for the inside, and he stays to the left to protect.
And look at the fans here at Hangtown. They're waving the towels and the hats.
Tomac's treating this downhill.
Amazing race.
They know the pass could be coming, and there it is. That's where he passed Craig for second, and Tomac just bonsai'd it on that drop away.
He has that downhill figured out. Looks ahead. Tomac does. He's going to see a couple of lapped riders. There was actually a rider down right there. I was wondering if he was specifically looking at something on that downhill. He's got a couple of laps. Oh, Webb messes up his line in that turn. Is going to lose a couple of bike lengths. Webb has got to put the pressure on. He's got to find a way to respond and not let Tomac get comfortable.
Well, also, Craig is still not too far back in third, so Webb has to stay hard on the gas and also keep a little pressure on. Tomac grabs a tear off, and that allows Webb to close back in, so it's not over yet. Look at this battle. So Tomac went around the outside, grabbed the tear off, was slow in the corner, and Webb pulled right back to his rear tire. So it is not over. He took your advice. Have to keep the heat on.
He does. I mean, this is what it's all about, trying to win these races, get the overall. And Webb has the potential. He's a gamer. I mean, he just has to stay in it here and start to believe that he can win this moto. Possibly follow some of Tomac's lines. See where Tomac has been able to carry some momentum and then dig deep. Let it all hang out. Like I said, this is it. Sprint forward. You've got 11 minutes plus 2 laps. Then it's time for vacation. So leave it all out there, just like our 2 leaders are doing.
All right, we'll take a commercial break here and resume this battle with Eli Tomac trying to end the season with 3 straight wins. And Tomac getting away from Webb now. And by the way, Dylan Ferrandis has moved up to 5th place. So you have these 2, and then Craig, and Steve 4th, and then Ferrandis from, I'm going to say, 36th, 35th-ish place. 40 riders in the moto. A couple were down in the first turn.
Well, I mean, even at that, these points could get really, really tight. If Ferrandis is up to 5th, Tomac was 4th the first moto, so a 4-1 would give him the overall right now. Webb was 3rd. If Ferrandis makes up any more points, could he still win the overall?
He could. Well, a 1-4 and a 4-1, Tomac would still have it. But if he could make it all the way to 3rd and get Craig, he would win the overall still. Tomac would be looking at 4-1, and Ferrandis would be looking at a 1-3, and there is plenty of time. 9.5 minutes and 2 laps left. Oh, nice little wheel tap there from Tomac through those rollers.
Problem is for Ferrandis, he's got a good 14 seconds at least to make up, to even catch Max Anstey in 4th, and to get up to Craig, who's in 3rd. Yeah, that's a pretty big gap at this point. That's a lot to ask, but he's your champ. He's the most fit guy out there. Everything this season has gone his way. What a way to end the season for Dylan Ferrandis if he could pull that off after how this first lap went for him.
And there's the longtime mechanic for Tomac, Brian Kranz, with the pit board out, giving him the idea of the split times. his time versus Webb's, and he is now starting to move out. 2.3 seconds the gap between Tomac and Webb. So Tomac with a lot of lap traffic to deal with now. That could be the final obstacle in his way, and or the brief opportunity Ferrandis could get all the way up to third, could steal the overall away. This part's a limited drone cam, giving you a good idea of the line selection of Tomac with the lead. Well, look at this. Eli Tomac and his mechanic Brian Kranz have been together for 11 seasons, which you never see a rider-mechanic combo last this long under the high stakes at this level. And they've won 83 victories. Unofficially, we believe that's second all-time rider-mechanic combo. Ricky Carmichael and his original mechanic, Chad Watts, we counted 90 wins for them. But 11 seasons, even the great rider-mechanic combos through time, it's usually 5-6 years before the rider moves to a different team or the mechanic says, I got to get off the road. This is a lot of work. Kranz actually followed Eli from his first pro team, which was Geico Honda, over to Monster Kawasaki. He will stay at Kawasaki next year. Tomac is moving to Yamaha. So this is their last run together, and what a way to go out. They're looking at another race win.
Well, legendary rider, legendary mechanic, and a legendary combination and effort combined with all the other team members with Monster Energy Kawasaki. And don't forget, this goes back to the Factory Connection days, their partnership. So we got to add them in, and Ziggy and all the boys at that team who were a part of Eli Tomac's early career. What a way to go out. I mean, certainly Tomac's doing everything he can do right now, is trying to win this moto, end on definitely a high note. The question is, can Dylan Ferrandis work his way into third and come back and win the overall still?
We're hearing they've checked out Ken Roxon's foot, by the way. Remember, he got hurt in the first turn of this, and they believe it is not broken, but obviously he is out of this moto. So Tomac's relationship with Kawasaki is going to end, but this is pretty cool. I talked to Bruce Sternstrom, who's the head of racing over there, and he showed me something yesterday. Eli's not watching the broadcast right now, so I'm not giving away any secrets that he's not supposed to know about. They have a big plaque that they're going to present to him at the end of the day to coronate an excellent 6 seasons together where they've won more races, Tomac-Kawi combo, than any other rider in that time. So even though they're moving on from each other, there's still a lot of respect and class to the great performances they did put on when they were working together. So they're going to have a little presentation over there at the Kawasaki pit for Tomac when this moto is over. And the coolest thing about it, it's a big plaque that has championships across the top. They won 4 of them together. And all the race wins, they left room to tag one more race win on that plaque. And it is looking good now.
Well, when you have that many of them, you have to be optimistic.
That's right.
Right, and he's won the last 2 overalls in a row.
So we go to Ferrandis here, who was just about last early. He has climbed all the way to 5th. So from outside the top 35 or so to 5th place. Lowest position 23rd, but that's at the end of the first lap. And with Roxon out, by the way, Tomac is going to take over second of the points. We speculated about that at the beginning of this moto. Roxon first or second all year long until the final moto of the year. He's not going to finish this one, Roxon. And with the win, Tomac should take over second in the points. We go back to Ferrandis, insurmountable lead. He already is your series champ.
Well, Jason, as I'm looking at timing and scoring right here, you're seeing Ferrandis. He's got the fastest single lap of anyone at a 2:17. Just turned to 2:18, which is he's the fastest rider on the track right now. What he needs to still win this overall is to pass his teammate, Christian Craig, who's in 3rd. You've got Max Danstey in 4th. He's about 10 seconds off of that. But last time around, he was 3 or 4 seconds faster than Craig. It's possible. There's going to be about, 4 laps left to go?
Wow.
Somewhere around in there? I mean, it could be pretty close here.
Ferrandis has an outside shot at pulling off the overall win and stealing it from Tomac. It's been an amazing season for the 14. We had a chance to talk to Ferrandis about his season. Looking back at it now.
Was really a dreaming season, but
Honestly, all year I try to stay away from all the stats and all the numbers and stuff because, yeah, it's what I always dreamed to do, and all the riders that did that before me were like a legend, and I was such a big fan of them. So I don't really look at this because I don't want this to affect me emotionally. So I really try all season to stay focused on myself and just the riding and the race by race. But yeah, I mean, when people told me the stat and everything, it's just unreal. Like, yeah, it's awesome. But yeah, I don't know. I make it. I just make my way. I never really try to do better than anybody else that did before. I just stay myself and did what I have to do on race day. And yeah, at the end, I think at the end the championship it's what mattered the most. Whatever the point, whatever we did before, like championship is what every racer wants and what we work for. So that's the most important.
So remember, Ferrandis had some issues off of the start. You can see there's something hanging down on the right foot peg of his bike. We got a tight shot of this. Our excellent camera crew and director and everybody in the truck have zeroed in on this. It looks to be some of this foam that they put under, like in between the rear brake and the engine cases and the frame, and that keeps rocks and stuff from getting in there. So no problem for Ferrandis. He is catching Max Anstie, though, for fourth.
He needs 2 positions to dig out the overall win today. He has to get Anstie for fourth and catch Christian Craig for third. It's not over yet.
Where's Craig?
Craig, let's figure it out. He is about 5 seconds further up the road. It is not inconceivable. He's also got to make a pass on Anstie and get around the slap traffic. That might slow him up a little bit, but it is not over. And Ferrandis, we know, is so strong down the stretch, and he's got Anstie right in front of him now.
Pretty much 3 laps to go, right, Jason? And could still win this overall, which would be such an incredible accomplishment just for this moto right there. Just blows past Anstie on the outside. Now he's going to set his sights on his teammate, who's less than 5 seconds ahead, and he's got 2.5 laps to go.
Well, that is key. He did not get held up trying to get around Anstie. A couple more lap riders to deal with. So with that pass, Ferrandis and Tomac are now tied for the day. They'd each have a first and a fourth. Tomac wins the overall. Tiebreaker's better Moto 2. One more pass, Ferrandis has it.
Any chance they get team orders from the Monster Energy Yamaha team for Craig to back out of the way and let him by?
We often do see team orders maybe with a title on the line. We'll see if they would do it for an overall race win. He might not need the help because Ferrandis is absolutely hauling right now.
Hey, it was a few decades ago where the Team Yamaha, it was for the title.
Not for a race win.
San Antonio.
Yeah, they did it.
Bob Hanna gets the signboard, let Brock by. It will live in infamy as Hanna let Brock Glover by in a 125 race. Brock goes on to win the title. So no championship implications at this point. But like you said, hey, Ferrandis is fast enough to make this move. He's catching his teammate quickly.
Since 1927, the Ryder Cup has pitted America versus Europe. Can the U.S. team reclaim the trophy while on American turf? The Ryder Cup, September 24th through 26th on NBC, Golf, and Peacock. Go to RyderCup.com for news, highlights, and more. Final laps of the season of 450 motocross racing. We're in California, and there's still a lot to race for. Dylan Ferrandis on the 14. If he can make one pass at the end of this race, and he's got the 29 of Craig in sight. If he passes Craig, he takes the overall win for the day.
Just unbelievable. Countdown clock is at 0. Tomac is out front trying to go 4-1 for the overall. Ferrandis won your first moto. If he makes this pass on Christian Craig right there, the number 29, that could give Ferrandis a 1-3 and win the overall.
From nearly last at the beginning of this race, and he's trying to set up Craig, his teammate, for the pass. Craig fighting him off on the inside. Not for long. Ferrandis has done it. He's taken over third, and that would be enough for the win today.
earlier in the day, we had some sound bites from Dylan Ferrandis talking about other legendary French riders, like he wasn't a part of it. No, he is.
Oh, it's hard to argue.
Is now in that conversation, and it's rides like this. I mean, he could have thrown the moto away. Okay, I have those problems off of the start, whatever, I'm going to mail it in or pull off. That's not who he is. He's a champion, and he's going out and showing that he could be a race winner once again. Just an incredible ride to cap off such a legendary season. Still got about a lap and a half to go. It's not over. He's got to keep it on two wheels, but wow, what a ride by Dylan Ferrandis.
Yeah, so a couple of riders down in turn one. He was tangled with the bike of Cody Schock, who's dragging Schock's bike, so he had to stop. By the time he got going, the top 35, 36 riders had already gone by.
Well, and the only reason he wasn't last is because Schock was down, and there were two or three, others, four bikes down going into the first turn. So let's put him at 35th, let's say. 35th to 3rd?
Unreal. Maybe even second. There's still going to be another lap to go. You got to figure Webb in second is probably on cruise control right now. He's 6 seconds behind your leader. There's Tomac on the top of your screen, who looked to have this overall in hand. But he's only going to have a 4th and a 1st today, where Ferrandis will have a 1st and a 3rd. What a charge by Ferrandis. And really, even though the title is already decided, this type of ride defines his season. The guy just doesn't give up. And it doesn't appear like he ever gets tired. Late in the races, he just gets stronger. White flag out.
Yeah, and you know, as a rider, you know where their positions are at. He just went through the mechanics area. If you're new to motocross, the mechanics area is where you have your personal mechanic. He's got a signboard, chalkboard, whiteboard, and you write messages on there. A lot of times it's like words of encouragement, maybe lap times, but right now it would be position. And look right here, he's catching Cooper Webb. We're on the final lap. He's not that far behind the leader even.
He doesn't want this season to end. It's been a dream run.
Okay,
yeah, I know.
Ferrandis is 9.2 seconds at the last interval behind the leader. When you fall down, if you get back up quickly, that's like 9 seconds. So even, I mean, if Tomac fell,
he would go from essentially
I just
last
can't believe that Ferrandis has caught up this much when Tomac and Webb were having such a great ride. The newly crowned champ has once again found a way to top it.
Legend status. He has joined some of the all-timers with rides like this. Dylan Ferrandis. There's the rider he'd have to catch, really just to make the ride even more epic. It's not going to affect the overall at this point. And I wonder if Ferrandis maybe now knows that he's where he needs to be, because he looks like he has taken some of the aggression off on this final lap, soaking it in, and he should have the overall victory for the weekend.
Wow. Going to be a lot of hugs and high fives when he crosses the finish line. Bobby Regan, the team owner, made the decision to partner with Yamaha and take over the 450 team from factory Yamaha, okay? And the results that they have produced this year for their riders, Aaron Plessinger, Christian Craig, and of course the champ, Dylan Ferrandis, just outstanding work.
And the sacrifice that they all put in, we mentioned in Moto 1, his mechanic. The team all moved to Georgia and Florida. His mechanic had not seen his wife in 2 months as they tried to put this title run together from the East Coast. Meanwhile, this story, the long and very fruitful run with Eli Tomac and Monster Energy Kawasaki together is going to end in a moto win. Second moto at Hangtown goes to Tomac. But the overall is going to be ripped from his hands. He was only 4th in Moto 1 after a crash. Webb is going to come across the line in 2nd. And with 1-3 Moto scores, how can you not respect the grit, the heart, the effort? Dylan Ferrandis wins the finale.
Does he know it, though, Jason? Does he know it?
The crowd seems to know. It's a French rider who has always said he's starting to soak it in now. We've asked him time and time again.
Oh, look at that.
Fan asked for his goggles. Oh, okay.
What
Excellent.
a souvenir.
We've asked him time and time again. As a Frenchman, he never really got the fan response, and he always said, I race for myself. I don't really worry about those things, but he's got to enjoy being embraced the way he is now. The fans absolutely respect. How could you not this kind of effort. He passed about 35 riders to get this overall win. Incredible. And there's his wife, Natalia. We'll be back to talk to Dylan, who has an epic moto win.